congratulate Chris and echo what Mary said. Mary said it far more eloquently than I could. But there is an incredible committee here. There's the genesis of something that you will look back to today and look at this milestone. And I just want to congratulate you and say well done, and we'll be there to support you into the future.
Thank you very much, Aoife. Thank you very much. Now, it gives me great pleasure to introduce Mr. Minister Michael Ring here. And from our plan, it is now your plan. This is the plan that every community group now owns on the island, and this is what we go forth with. Right, Minister, thank you.
Don't take that either, Deputy Lisa Chambers, Senator Rose Welch, Councillor Jerry Kyle, Paul McClara, Michael Holmes, and Teresa Whelan, and I hope I've covered all the elected representatives. Also, I'd like to welcome CEO of Neocounty Council, Peter Hines, and John, thank you for the great job you did as MC, and Chris, to you and your team, Mary Rafter, and everybody involved in this plan. First of all, I just want to say to everybody, thank you for turning out on the Sunday. It shows you have a great interest in your community, and it's great to see so many people out here today, concerned about the future of their locality and their community. Just great to see so many people out, and I think it gives the 16 people, as Councillor McNamara has said, and the previous speakers, it just gives great, feeling to the people that went out and put this tremendous plan together. And I want to compliment the 16 people, and I'd like to give them a big round of applause. First, just in a few words, I want to thank the pipe band, the pipe being here today. I thought the election was on. The blood began to boil, and I was ready for action, but I really do need that. But lovely, I want to thank them, thank the band, and I must say they were fantastic. It's a great asset you have here, the pipe band, and no doubt the area crowd. In Aviva recently I was there, and they lifted the souls in our hearts, but they didn't lift the Irish team, they got a bit of a hype. And the last time, the pipe band played from Westport, they played Germany, and they got a bit of a hype in that day. So I don't know our pipe band's lucky for Ireland when they play soccer. But I want to say to the pipe band, thank you, and I really appreciate it. It was just lovely to see it happening here today. Before I talk about the plan itself, just want to say a few things in the overall context. And I heard Michael Holmes actually gave me the point. He talked about other councillors talking about the Westport model. This is not about the Westport model or the Achill model either. Peter Hines, the CEO of the County Council, this is about the Mayo model. We have to think as a county. We have to work together as a county. And one, supporting and helping each other. And Michael Holmes is quite correct. In relation to recent funding that I announced to continue it was the opening of the LIS scheme. And I got a phone call from Peter Hines to see could we use some of that money for Culmany, and I talked to him and Paul Philman, and I'm glad to say that for the Greenway, I've already allocated money to bring it down halfway here to Achill, and I intend to bring it the rest of the way in the near future, and that is my plan, to bring it the whole way. And in fact, I'll have another round in the remote recreation scheme to deal with, and I'll deal with that very shortly. Also in relation to the LIS scheme, and Michael is quite correct, just you talk about the green jersey, Michael. Well, I have never been afraid to wear the green jersey, and I've never been afraid to spend money in this county. And just this weekend alone, we announced yesterday 10 million for the Crossman water scheme, and that's announced, ready to go, no more talk. The work, what has to be done is picked. And tomorrow, Michael, again to the councillors and to Peter Hines, I want to say on the allocation, and that's all you look for. I gave you what you look for. You look for 440,000 extra on top of the 850,000 I gave you for the LIS scheme. And that helps rural roads and Achill and around the country. So that's almost 1.3 million in LIS schemes. And Mike, I hate saying this, there was an independent in another department for the last 17 months, and he never opened the LIS, and I was in it 2 or 3 weeks, and I opened the LIS, even though I had some other independents criticising me because I reduced the local contribution to the people. I make no apology for that. Whatever funding I can put into the county, I'm going to put it in, and I have put it in. And people can look around here today. I think it's one of the greatest successes, and it's one that I'll always be proud of. And Chris, you spoke about it, and I think it's the most valuable bit of infrastructure that you have here in this area. And I talk about the Wild Atlantic Way. Now, when I was Minister for Tourism, the signature point, Achill was one of the places that was picked on, which is apparently hasn't happened yet, but I hope that it can be sorted out very soon. It's not my fault, the money was there, I put it in place. At the time, I think it was 7 or 8 that we allocated for funding around the country. The other 6 is done, this is the only one that's not done, and we need to get it done. This is where the Wild Atlantic Way, this is what it's about. If there was ever a bit of infrastructure, that and the Greenway are the 2 best bits of infrastructure, not at all here in Achill, but in the whole country and in the world. And when I was given the job of promoting and developing the Wild Atlantic Way, I certainly promoted it in every corner of the world. And even if I was out in Tourism Ireland, supposed to be doing other works, it might be different. We can get one promoting tourism tours, you'd be promoting different things. But every opportunity I got, I talked about the Wild Atlantic Way, and I got into people's minds, I got into their heads, I got all the tour operators to talk about it and think about it. And to me, it has been the greatest single success. And I want to say that you have an asset on your doorstep with the beaches, the walks, and the natural beauty that you have. And sometimes when you live in a place and you have it every single day, you don't appreciate it like the people that actually come into the county and into the country to see what you actually have. And I want to say to Peter Hines and his team in Mayo County Council, if it's roads, like the Trolley Road where they were at, to get a quick plan to put it together, when they were asked to put the plan for the Greenway, they did it. When they were asked to put the plan in Mulranny to put the old station house, they did it. And next week, I'll have a further announcement, and it's going ahead whether there's an election or not. I have a further announcement that will help tourism here in Achill and in the West Mayo area, and you'll hear about that next Friday. Election or no election, that's going ahead Friday. And Humphreys and myself will be here in this county next week to announce a further development that will help the tourism product we have in this West Mayo area, and it's something that I've been working on myself for the last 15 months, and I've now put the whole thing together, and that will be ready for announcement next week. Next Friday, in fact, we'll be actually doing that in the Ballyboy National Park, and I know Peter Hines will be instructed tomorrow. We have been arranging it for the last week, and it's good news for the area. Took a bit of work. A board meeting had to be had in another organisation on Friday. It's now done and accepted, and we're ready to go. But in relation to the plan that you're talking about here, I want to say to the community of Achill, you have a great product, you have a great team, and the one common denominator that came around here today was working together. And I cannot spell that out loud enough to you. In other areas, in Kerry and in other parts of the country, it's all about people working together, whether it's the tourism sector, whether it's the sporting sector, whether it's the community sector, the Irish language sector, all sectors working in Achill. And I have to say, when you look around here, the infrastructure that you have, whether it's the sporting infrastructure, you have your GA facilities, and again, we'll be announcing some funding this week in Achill, because I sat down with the Minister in relation to the funding for Mayo, and Achill will get their fair share of the funding from the sports capital grants will be announced next week, and Achill will get their fair share of that, I can assure you that. And also, I just want to say that the community and everybody, the sporting organisation that we're talking about, it's great to see you have your soccer club, you have your GA club, but it's like the facilities and I say that to schools, and I say it to colleges, and I say it when I was Minister for Sport. We can't have facilities that can be only used for one section of society. Facilities in Achill, facilities in Westport, facilities in Castlebar and Ballina, if there's facilities there and the community need them, they should be made available to the community. Everybody, there should be that community spirit, supporting and helping and working with each other. That's what it's all about. And that's why this plan, and I must compliment Chris and his team, it's fantastic. The scenery and what you're looking for, some of it will be difficult, some of it won't be so difficult, but what you will have to do is work with the county council, work with whoever's in government, work with your TDs, work with your senators, to make sure that we work together. And you can do that in a very positive way. Things can be done quietly in the background, things can be done to make sure that you get whatever you're looking for. And I see some of the priorities that are there. The broadband is a big issue. I'm on I've now responsibility with Peter Hines again with the local authorities. We have provided some funding. We have a dedicated person in every county in this country, paid for by my department, to make sure that we get cut out as much as possible when the mobile, when the broadband people are coming into this county, that sit down with the county council, that the things that have been dealt with them, all they'll have to do is put in the line. All the other difficulties will be sorted out before that happens. And Peter Hines, to be fair to him, and the old county council, and Peter also represents the County Managers Association at national level, for coordinating that to make sure that when we're ready to go, we're already, the private sector out there are taking certain areas, the national, they're going to take all the low-lying fruit. We have to go out and make sure that the rest of the rural areas get their fair share, and to make sure that we get the broadband put into these areas. But the infrastructure that you have is brilliant infrastructure. And I say to you today, as my own ministry, and I want to say to Chief that she's quite correct, it's the first time a government have a minister for urban development. And I have to make sure that, you know, I coordinate all the groupings, I coordinate the funding, and it's one of the roles I've been given that government. We have so many schemes out there, we have to get them all into one department. So if we're targeting a project, or we're targeting a community, that we're not drawing funding from 40 or 50 different years, that these groups can go in and talk to the department, talk to me as minister, to make sure that we can bring all that together to support the groups. In my job, I have the PAR programme, very important programme, lots of funding came into Wackett in relation to that, and again, that scheme will be open again in the new year. Rural Recreation Programme, Town and Village Programme, another great scheme that you can look at. And in the community aspect, I have the side camp, I have the leader, and I have all the other community groups coming into me from social welfare on the 1st of January. So we're bringing all that community stuff together to try and support communities like yourself. And today, Chris, to you and your team, I'm delighted that everybody is pulling together, and that as councillor, and I see Jerry Kyle here, he knows all about that in his own area of North Mayo. You have to be working together. If you're pulling against one another, nothing will happen. You're not going to achieve every single thing that's here, but you can achieve 99.9% of it, and I have no doubt that you will do that. I'm here today, and the only commitment that I can give you, whether I'm a minister or a TD, or if I'm an elected representative working with my colleagues, I will give you whatever support I can to make sure that you get your fair share, and to make sure whatever I can do. And I wasn't found wanting already in relation to many issues in this particular area, and I won't be found wanting in the future. I intend to work with Chris and his team, and I want to say this community action plan is a fantastic plan that you have. It's the document that you now should be working on for the future. And Peter Hines and myself, we sit down on a regular basis. We look to see where we can develop projects, where we can develop what we need for the future of the areas. And the two most important issues in this area, and I put the most important issue first, is people. Is to get people living and working and living in the area. That we can keep the schools open, that we can keep families working in this area. When I did the town and village scheme, every part of the country that I saw hubs, whether it was a digital hub, whether it was a food hub, or whatever kind of a hub, to try and keep people in an area working, give people an opportunity. Again, the county council have been very good at that. They have a number of hubs throughout the county. That's where people can go in, they can get the broadband in, they can assist them, they get the expertise, they can support them and help them. And many, many people throughout the country and throughout this county are employing lots of people, keeping jobs in their own community, because they have these kinds of hubs and facilities to support them and help them. I'm delighted to be here today to launch your community action plan from 2018 to 2023, and I hope that I will still minister in 2023. Thank you all very much.
This positivity is just fantastic. My pleasure now to introduce Mr. Peter Hines, Chief Executive Officer of the Mayo County Council.
Thanks, folks. Ara, Kerry, Poor Lori, Canador, there's a Yatta, it's cordial there, well, I'm Lewis, Fear Fortune, it's a great pleasure to be here. And I realise I'm on the graveyard shift, so I will not keep you very long, but I promise, I will promise not to be very long, but I do want to just mark the occasion, which I think is really important. People down the back, I think I can see Justin, is that? If that's Justin, can he wave? That's just a sound check, by the way, that's not just a name check, that's just a check. It's also an attention check to see if he's paying attention. This is a really important occasion, it's a really important plan, and what's most important about it is that it's your plan. It is a community initiative. We facilitated it, the state has facilitated it, all of the agencies facilitated it, but it's your plan. That's the first thing I just wanted to emphasize. So I want to say thank you to the team, Chris for the chairing job,